Have you ever wished that you could end your overthinking and become wildly confident with just a few simple steps? After earning my degree in psychology and dealing with overthinking myself, I've discovered 4 practical steps that you can use to stop overthinking and help you regain your confidence, which I'll explain using Dragon Ball Z. In this video, I'll show you what those 4 practical steps are, the biggest mistake that secretly keeps you in an endless spiral of overthinking, and the simple shift that you need to make to clear your mind and move forward with confidence. So let's start with the biggest mistake you're making when you begin to overthink by looking at the most glaring mistake Trunks made in Dragon Ball Z. Think back to when Trunks fought Perfect Cell. Trunks had just witnessed Cell transform into his perfect form, and he was terrified at his new power that his new form had. So in desperation, in order to protect his friends and the Earth, he pushed himself into Super Saiyan Grade 3, convinced that raw power would be enough to beat Cell. But the more he focused on Cell's strength, the less he noticed that his own moves had become slow and completely ineffective. He wasn't actually solving the problem. Overthinking often works in the same way. When we face an issue we need to solve, it's so easy to get lost in its power and the possibility of the outcome of the situation. This causes us to obsess over worst case scenarios and spiral into the endless what ifs. It makes us believe that we're problem solving, but in reality we're just wasting energy just like Trunks was. But how do you stop that spiral of what ifs? You ever notice how when you think about breathing, it becomes a lot harder to do? Or when you think about walking, you start doing it a little funny? That shows us how a conscious thought can interrupt an automatic cycle that you're stuck in. And awareness works in the same way when you're trying to stop overthinking. Are your thoughts mentally exhausting you? Are you asking an endless loop of what ifs? And are you spending hours and hours thinking without ever coming to a solution? Those are all signs that you're no longer problem solving, but in fact you're overthinking. And simply being aware gives you your power back over your thoughts and help you shift into greater clarity. However, even if you know you're overthinking, you still need to be able to stop those thoughts from taking over your mind. So before I show you that, let me show you how to chase your dreams without doubt or fear by joining the Confidence Capsule newsletter. Here, you'll receive simple tips and proven mental shifts that make it inevitable for you to crush self-doubt and build unshakable confidence. Check it out in the link below. And now, let's take a look at the simple shift that stops overthinking from taking over your mind, shown through Goku's mastery of the Super Saiyan transformation. The Super Saiyan transformation is a form that engulfs the user in their emotions and makes it difficult for them to think clearly and waste tons of energy. The Z Fighters didn't realize how much of a toll it was taking on them because they were too caught up in the form itself. Where most Super Saiyans learn to live with the restless emotions and thoughts that came with it, Goku knew he needed to control them rather than chase more power. When we begin to overthink, our bodies go into a similar response as a Super Saiyan transformation, where we begin to waste tons of energy and our emotions and thoughts are out of control. This heightened state triggers our fight or flight response in our bodies, which causes our minds to spiral. So when it comes to overthinking, we have to take the same approach as Goku. You need to learn how to calm your mind when you're in the middle of overthinking. But how exactly can you do this? One of the best ways to calm your mind is through grounding techniques. When your thoughts are spinning, the most effective thing that you can do is bring yourself back down to reality by using either the 5 senses grounding technique or what I like to call a reset walk. The 5 senses grounding technique works like this. Name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Another simple method is the reset walk. Just step away from your computer or whatever task you're stuck on and take a walk outside. This quick shift in environment and light physical activity helps to calm your nerves and reset your focus. However, Even after you calm your mind, the flood of thoughts usually comes back. So now I'll show you the best way to prevent overthinking from coming back and wrecking your confidence by taking a look at Goku's Ultra Instinct. When Goku first obtained Ultra Instinct while he was fighting Jiren, Whis noticed something different, something changing within him. Goku became focused on nothing else but the battle itself, throwing his whole body and soul into each strike in the immediate moment. All the thoughts or concerns of the outside world, even the outcome of the fight, melted away, and the only thing that was left was the moment and the battle at hand. This is the same level of focus that we need if we want to stop ourselves from falling into the trap of overthinking. Overthinking happens when we're uncertain about the future or the outcome of a situation. Since we can't control the outcome, the only thing we can control is what we do in the moment in the direction that we point ourselves in. So in order to do this, we must learn how to focus our thoughts. But how can we focus our thoughts and prevent a spiral of overthinking? To stop yourself from falling into overthinking, you need both clarity and focus. If you want confidence in whatever you're doing, whether it's starting a business, talking to someone new, or giving a speech, or anything else, you need to get crystal clear on your goal. The only reason I'm able to show up with confidence on YouTube is because I know exactly what my goal is that I'm aiming for and who I'm trying to help and serve without worrying about the outcome. If you wish to have that same level of confidence, simply ask yourself, what is the ultimate purpose of this task? Make it specific and measurable, and then commit to it. This clarity reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is the breeding ground that often triggers the spiral of overthinking. Once you have that clarity, you need to simply narrow your attention to what's right in front of you. Remove any distractions and only worry about your actions in the immediate moment, just like Goku could during his fight. And now I'll save you hours of your life from overthinking by looking at Whis' first lesson about Ultra Instinct. When Whis was training both Goku and Vegeta prior to the event of Resurrection F, he reminded them of the pure fundamentals of Ultra Instinct. Both Goku and Vegeta were excellent fighters, but they both thought too much before they attacked, especially Vegeta. Whis explained that Ultra Instinct is about the body reacting on its own and not letting the mind muddy up its movements by overthinking your next move. But what does Whis' lessons mean for your overthinking? Whis shows us that we often spend too much time letting our minds wander into the endless possibilities and outcomes. To combat this in real life, we have to train ourselves to make faster decisions. One of the best ways to do this is by using the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is simple. When you're faced with a choice that you've been overthinking, start with counting down from 5 to 0. When you hit 0, you need to make a decision and then commit to it. When you limit the time you give yourself to make choices, you not only move closer to your goal, but you also build trust in yourself. And that trust is what strengthens your confidence and ends overthinking. The path to become confident and end overthinking is simple if you follow the steps I've just shown you. However, if you still struggle with your confidence, click the video on your screen now, where you can learn to become so confident it feels illegal.